From Nashville's WSM Radio, the original home of the Grand Ole Opry, this is a Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast.
Hey, it's Charlie Manos, and in this episode of our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast, we welcome our friend Breland to our Gaylord Opryland Magnolia Lobby studio. Breland had just played the Tuesday Night Opry. We would share some great Opry memories. We would talk about Breland and Friends, his benefit show at the Ryman. Keith Urban was the surprise guest this year, and he's heading to Stagecoach. We would preview that as well. Enjoy our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast with Breland.
Breland, I'm sorry, I'm like an old church lady. I got my Kleenex and I'm wiping my nose because Leanne Morgan and me laughing so much. My nose started running. And then as we wrapped up and you walked in the door, it was on. She knew everybody you knew. She was talking about Hardy. She was talking about Morgan. Hardy's mama is coming to the show, I think. And it just, whew.
Yeah, I just ran into Hardy yesterday, actually, at the studio.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I did.
I was hanging out with him last night.
Oh, okay.
His sister
it's a Hardy party.
Yeah, his sister just opened a new beauty parlor. She has her whole makeup line and everything.
I'm glad to hear you use that phrase.
That's what she calls
Beauty
it.
parlor.
The beauty parlor.
That's what she wants it to be called.
Because that's what it was when I was a kid growing up.
Yeah.
Leanne said to Breland, says, now, you friends don't know who I am, but their mamas do.
That's right. Oh, my gosh. I'm so excited to see you because we're about to go co-host Stagecoach. So I hugged him and I said, let's go to the desert. And I've never been, but you were there last year. So
Yeah, I was there last year. Last year we played the after party. And I didn't all the way plan this out super well. We're planning it out a lot better this time. Last year, I had just come back from the UK earlier that week. And then I was playing the after party, which was at 11:30 p.m., which in UK time, it's like 9:30 a.m.
Oh.
And then I was like co-hosting on YouTube and was doing all of these interviews and activations. And then by the time my show rolled around, and also I was no bandana.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was just like taking all the dust, from the desert all day. By the time the show actually came on, I was so tired. This year we play at 5 p.m. I'll be in the time zone all week.
Good.
And I'm bandanaed up. So we'll have ourselves a good time.
That's the thing. Because I said I haven't been. It's in Indio, California.
Yep.
It's very near Joshua Tree. It's in the desert.
In Palm Springs, it's not too far.
Yes.
Yeah, not too far.
And so I said, what do I need to expect? And hot and dusty is all I hear.
Hot and dusty indeed.
And cool at night.
Oh.
Which is hot and dusty is also how I like my Cheetos.
How many different kinds of Cheetos did we discover one morning? I followed the Cheetos truck into the complex.
21,
Nice.
I believe, was
And I
the
was like,
different
how
flavor
many? Yeah,
combinations.
that are
Wow.
available in the U.S., but worldwide, it was ridiculous.
I mean, there's
How many different?
There's flavors of chips in other countries that you're like, what? Like, if you were to get like a, just like a regular, they don't do like whole lot of like barbecue chips in Canada, for example. They do tomato chips, which is not like, it's like ketchup, like, but they're so bad. And I tried one during an interview because interviewers like to make people eat things. And it was so bad. I was like, this is your most popular chip? That's their most popular chip. Does this indicate in Canada?
That's horrible.
And
May
this
we
show-
interest you in Peeps?
No.
We did a Peeps taste
Peeps
test.
taste test
Yeah.
last
No,
week.
we
It was a
did.
fail. It was a big fail.
As you might call a peep steaks.
It was.
I
in the
wish we
radio
had
business.
thought about that. actually.
This is why we need him.
And the Canadians are not big on ice in their soft drinks either.
No, and you need ice in these soft
Yeah,
drinks.
they get 2 or 3 chunks in there. That's it. They're good
No.
to go. Now they get a lot more for their money than we do here in the United States, but they are not big on ice.
Well, you played the Opry last night.
I did.
Talk to us about being out there again.
We took
Yeah.
them to church.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a dealer's choice of which songs I wanted to do. I felt like the 3 that I picked would be a good vibe. We did Natural, brought some of that 90s country energy. I did Told You I Could Drink, just kind of like a classic, easy melody. And then Praise the Lord, which is very true to my roots, with the gospel influence.
Yeah, because when I saw Praise the Lord, and I'd heard you do it before.
Yeah.
But my mind automatically, it's funny how the soundtrack of your mind defaults to certain things. So when you see a certain title, let's just praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Did you grow up with that song? It's a Bill Gaither, one of those little choruses.
My dad is a huge Gaither vocal band fan. like huge. Just will sit and watch hours, and like he'll score it and like pick apart the harmonies and like transcribe it. Yeah.
Well, and so I said to Charlie this morning, I said, was it the one that I grew up with? Just praise the Lord, praise the kind of subdued and sweet. And Charlie goes, oh, no.
No, praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
The short answer would be no, sir.
We were dancing. Now, what does your dad think about that particular kind of gospel?
He likes it. You know, I mean, we grew up on a lot of that style of gospel. I don't think he likes some of the lyrics in this one, but you know, he understands. You know, it's entertainment. You know, and I'm not making gospel music. It's not a gospel song. It's a cross country song with gospel influences. So, you know, if I were actually making that song as a gospel song, it would probably be written a little differently.
What was the first music you remember around the house as a kid growing up that they introduced you to? Would it have been gospel music?
Yeah, old school, but like 90s or like 80s, 90s gospel, big choral stuff like Richard Smallwood.
Andre Crouch, maybe?
Yeah. Andre Crouch, Fred Hammond, Kirk Franklin, all of the big 90s gospel acts were on constant rotation, and then like occasionally other things, you know. I might have found like a Doobie's Brother tape somewhere, but like, you know, yeah.
I love following your parents on Instagram whenever they post something, and I know I've told you this before, but especially I knew Easter was coming. I was like, oh, the Brelands are going to work up something good for us, and they did. And I know you've said this before, but growing up with parents who are incredibly musical and a sister who's incredibly. What influence is that like when you go home and you get a little taste of that? Does that kind of flavor whatever's coming next?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a part of how I create as it is. You know, my ear for melody and harmony is definitely very well informed by my family. You know, growing up, and it was always like you gotta catch your part. You know, they'd be singing in a 3-part, and it's like, come on now, get the 4th, but. Now that was kind of a trick game too, though, because, you know, most gospel music is broken up like, you know, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And as a child, they were already taking the top 3 parts, and my voice hadn't dropped. So I'm like, what do you want? You want me to create a part that doesn't exist? Like, I realized in hindsight, I was kind of being set up. Yeah. But then, you know, once my voice dropped and I became a little bit more of a baritone, it got a lot easier.
Good.
But you know, just having that around the house and you know, constantly being immersed in music and you know, if you're a little off, then that's the thing about harmony especially, is that it really locks you in on pitch, because when you're singing by yourself with an instrument, there's kind of some room to waver a little bit as far as, you know, going a little above the note, a little under the note. But when you're singing with other people, the blend is so important that your iteration of your note has to be the same exact iteration of, you know, being a 3rd or a 5th below or above someone else's note, and it has to blend perfectly. So I think a lot of my pitch accuracy and ability to sing the way that I do comes from literally that.
Well, Gordon Stoker of the Hall of Fame Jordanaires, who sang with Elvis, said, you know, Elvis wanted to be a gospel singer. Yeah. But he kept going to the lead. He couldn't sing harmony. But he wound up where he wound up where he was supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Doing lead all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, set this up. We're going to watch it on Circle Television, and people will hear it, of course, all over the world on radio on WSM for what it's worth. Yeah. With Alana Springsteen.
Amazing. Yeah.
You got a backstory you want to share to set?
Yeah, you know, Alana's a friend of mine. I think she's incredibly talented. I love the new group of country artists that are coming up right now. I keep up with all of them, and you know, I guess I'm a part of that group too. But I mean, even some of these artists that have kind of gotten signed after me, I love watching their journeys and being able to help out in any way that I can. Not that they necessarily need it, but this song just felt like, you know, the original that I put out on my album was solo, and it just felt like it needed a woman's touch, and I thought she added a great verse. So
this is how it turned out.
Yes, this
Breland
is it.
On WSM Radio and Circle Television's Coffee, Country, and Cody. Good morning.
Bad habits, my second chances always turn into 3 and 4. Late nights, all them back and forth fights finally turned into heartbreak war.
phrase that I see on social media about our special guest, Breland. He is we were just talking sports off the air, the point guard of the pen.
Yes. They do call me the pen point guard. I'm a huge sports fan. I'm always finding, I get really inspired by sports, especially basketball, tennis, football. I just feel like there's so many relationships between, sports and music are the two things that kind of equally define culture, but are also shaped by culture, in society. And you can look at sports and see where certain things are headed. Every hot button issue, it's easier for people to talk about it in the context of it appearing in sports versus just dealing with it politically, right? And so you can kind of use sports as this really beautiful measuring stick of where we are as a society. And I think music does it in the same way, but it's a little too close to what I'm doing on a daily basis. It's easier for me to engage with it sometimes with sports. But then also personally, the obstacles that athletes have to overcome and the type of mentality that you have to get into, as well as obviously the amount of work and discipline that it gets to be able to be one of the best at whatever discipline you have, sport you play. So many similarities to music.
Well, and then you have the parallel of the energy of a crowd as a performer,
we're
as an
entertainers.
athlete. Yeah, it's
the
all
fact that sports and music are the two things that bring strangers with completely different backgrounds together in a space to root for the same thing. They're very powerful and very analogous.
I hear what you're saying, and the one thing that jumped out to me was discipline, because I know you are so disciplined about writing, about your craft, about your skill. Talk to us about what a day looks like for you, because I know you're pretty on point with everything that you want to make sure you get in one day.
Yeah.
Do you write every day?
I don't write every day, but when I'm not playing shows, I pretty much write every day. And if I'm not writing, I'm at least thinking about new concepts for songs. So yesterday, for example, I went to the studio, wrote a song, came out pretty well, and then I got a text from Keith Urban. He was in a studio across town and was like, "What are you up to?" I was like, "I'm gonna write." He's like, "What are you up to after that?" I was like, "I'm going to the Opry." He's like, "Is there any time in between that?" I was like, "I've got a couple hours." So I pulled up on him. We worked for a little bit, and I was like, "Okay, I actually literally have to go." I went to the Opry, and then
And as you were walking through the door, you hear Charlie Meadows saying, "Please welcome."
Pretty much. Played that, and I went and watched some playoff basketball. Wow. So that was literally what my day looked like yesterday. So it involved some writing, some singing. It was fun.
And speaking of Keith Urban, you and he were just at the Ryman about a week ago for Breland and Friends.
Indeed.
And you raised a lot of money for a great organization.
We did, yeah. Breland and Friends was a great success. This was our second annual Breland and Friends, and I came up with the idea last year. The Oasis Center reached out and asked if I wanted to do some type of a benefit concert, and I was like, that would be a great idea. We were able to do it at the Ryman. We brought a bunch of great artists last year and raised some money, and then I was like, we need to run this back. And the work that they do is so important in this community. They help teens in crisis, whatever that may look like. They're there on the ground helping people, and I was like, dude, if I can help them out in any capacity, that seems like what I should be doing with my platform. I think that's why I'm here.
And the cool part was, it wasn't just like you had guest stars and they came out and played. You sang. These were all duets. The work that went into this was crazy.
Yeah. The amount of preparation that goes into singing, a dozen or more songs that we've never played before, the rehearsals that me and my band were doing, and then trying to coordinate with all of the artists to make sure that we could rehearse ahead of time and make sure that the show runs smoothly. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's kind of a bummer because it would be great if we could then take that on the road and do
one
it.
night, right?
We do it once, so it is an interesting performance. Usually we rehearse for things and it's like, cool, we're gonna rehearse for the Walker Hayes tour, and then we have 15 of those. So the rehearsal time seems to make sense, but it was a special night, and my family was here for it, and we brought out a bunch of great artists, and it was a great cause.
Well, you mentioned Walker, Ingrid, you, Ford Center, Evansville tomorrow.
Yep.
Rogers, Arkansas on Friday, Oklahoma City on Saturday.
Yeah.
Tell us about Shania later on in the summer.
Man, I'm so as I would say, I'm so geeked about this. I'm really excited.
And you guys have yet to meet.
We still haven't met. She followed me on social media, so that's like one step closer. I would imagine we'll probably meet pretty soon.
Did you get your phone out and show your pals? Like, hey,
oh yeah,
look.
She's following
yeah.
me.
You got anything like this? No.
I like immediately sent a DM. I was like, "Thank you so much for the follow." And I was like, "What am I talking about?" I was like, "Let me unsend this." I sound crazy right now.
And what was it like to do the Star Spangled Banner to kick off the NASCAR season?
Oh my gosh.
Daytona 500.
Yeah.
Baby.
Oh, those
Man, it
legends.
was the biggest. I think it was the biggest televised audience that I've sung an anthem in front of. I've done a couple, soccer games, playoff hockey, playoff football, but the Daytona 500 is its own beast, man. And that was really the first like major NASCAR race that I've been to. The energy was electric. It was a lot of fun. There were a lot of people there that you wouldn't expect, like Pete Davidson. I was like, what are you doing here? Like you just never know who you're gonna run into at a NASCAR event. So it was a lot of fun. I thought the anthem went well. People seemed to respond positively to it. I'm sure we'll come back and do another one at some point.
Hey, you remember the words. That's
That's
half
it.
the battle.
Half of the battle. Remembering the words and then being able to hit all the notes. Because I think people kind of sit and want you to mess up on the anthem.
Not you.
Breland and June 7th with Shania and Kelsey Ballerini at Geodis Park, Nashville, the home of Nashville SC.
But you didn't let me.
Thanks for listening to the Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a 5-star review. This podcast was produced through the facilities of WSM Radio in Nashville, Tennessee. The hosts of Coffee, Country, and Cody are Bill Cody, Charlie Matos, and Kelly Sutton. Producer, Eric Markham. WSM General Manager and Director of Content and Programming, J. Patrick Tittle. Copyright 2023. Opry Entertainment Group Holdings, LLC.